Hi and welcome to our program. Today we are visiting the exhibition Media for All here at It, organized by Internet Week Denmark, where Peter Lett is going to tell us about copyright and open content. Let's check it out. Hi Peter.
Hi. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
How are you
welcome.
doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Perfect.
And it's a pleasure seeing you, and it's a pleasure to show you this.
Thank you so much.
I've been looking forward to.
Yes. So what do you want to show us today?
Well, the exhibition is about open content, open internet. It's about open possibilities. So, for instance, the first poster here says in Danish, this is a world of open opportunities. So, imagine that the internet is not just made with electricity, it's made of people. The internet is for us all to use, and we can all use it, and we are all allowed to use it, and it's free to be used. So this gives us a big playground. So the idea here is that everything on the internet that is open is for you to download, and you are allowed to use it. So this is something downloaded, and we are using it when we are using the crayons on the graphics.
Okay.
So when we are doing that, we are also building a new work, and therefore we can put ourselves on the credit.
Okay.
So it's a way of saying to people, if you take something from the internet, you are most likely to be asked, please tell me where you got it from, attribute it.
Yeah.
And the attribution, you should add. I think we should train that with our pupils and with ourselves. We must train being good at doing some proper attribution.
Okay.
The vision is that I think we all are in contact with each other, and we are all in contact with the internet. So if you look at the internet, it's not like an engine, like a diesel engine, where it runs on diesel. The internet runs on people.
Yeah.
The internet is social. I think we like to help each other. And I think that if we understand that the internet is actually a playground where you and I are invited, and we can be invited, we don't need an invitation. The internet is just there, and we are invited de facto. So that means that here we have some great playground where we all are allowed to join. And one thing that we can use this playground for is sharing content with each other, talk to each other. Now I talk to you, you listen, and perhaps you edit something, and then you publish it, and then there are other people listening to it. Perhaps they use that, telling about it.
Yeah, they select a bit.
Yeah, and due to the internet, we can do it with everyone, and whenever one is hitting the play button. So if we look at this playground and we ask ourselves, could it be nice to be part of that, we must know that there is something called copyright. And copyright means that what I do is not necessarily free to you to use. But if I want to share it, there are a lot of good ways that I can share it and tell everyone in the world what they are allowed to. And this exhibition is showing where can we find content that we are allowed to look for. And it also talks about a little bit about how can we download and how can we make sure that we are not offending any people in turn.
Like what are the rules?
Yeah, and so a very simple way to tell people what they are allowed to is using some kind of symbols that are developed by an organization called Creative Commons. I think actually there might be like 2 or 3 billion media clips, different kinds of media on the internet where a Creative Commons license has been used. So if I want to share something with you, I can just add the CC license that I find suitable for what I would like you to be able to. So if I say, at least you should put my name on it if you use my content, then I would use the little person here.
Okay.
And that can be, we can have a look later on if you like, where I could go through the licenses because it's not
and
complicated.
what the symbols mean.
Yeah, because
and
there are 4 symbols and it's very good to learn what symbols are good for me. And I think there is one of the 4 symbols that is not so good because it limits our creativity. But still it can be used for a good way of sharing.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
So that is perhaps the introduction to it all, that this internet is a playground. It's not run on diesel, it's run on human. And this could be a party for everyone. And everyone needs to find out that copyright is not something that you can just play with. You have to take that serious. But you can also be very serious at the same time, because there are perhaps 100 million people in the world already who have shared something under open terms, for instance with a Creative Commons license. So I hope that makes sense, and that's what...
Yeah, it does.
And of course, this is printed on paper, but along with this whole story, I think that people, they could easily go on the internet and find something themselves. I have made some homepages in Danish called Medier for Alle and Tools for Alle. I think if they use Google Translate, then perhaps they could have...
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Yeah, because then you found out what's the reason about this site and so on. But so if people, they are from other languages, other countries and so on, I think they could start by looking at some of the sites that I have here, and it's quite easy, because some part of the pages are made with symbols, and I think it's quite easy to navigate.
Yeah, it was quite easy.
Yeah. But we have to be careful about copyright, because if we infringe copyright, we get in trouble.
And what are copyrights?
Copyright is what you and I have when we make something. So when I make a drawing, that's mine. And when you sing, that's yours. If you sing my song, your voice is yours,
but the song
is mine.
Yes.
So it can be complicated. And that is what this world is about. Nothing that is from our culture is just made out of nothing. Culture is remix. We are a product of our time and the times before. And I think a lot of what we are also seeing and what we are doing today is just innovation of what has been before. And this is so great, because when it's on the internet, when it's digital, you can remix. It's very easy. If I was to share an apple with you, you would have that apple and I wouldn't. But if I had an image, I could share it with you, and we would both have that same image.
And when did it start, this copyright thing?
Yeah.
So what led to that, to people actually needing to say, okay, this is mine, and there's some rules for you to use it?
I think the problem comes with having the technology that makes it so easy for everyone to copy. Because when we had copyright and I was making my notes on a brick or a stone, there wasn't that much risk at being copied.
Yeah.
But now when it's digital, there's no limit. There's no speed limit. There's no amount of how many times anything can be copied. We know that. So of course now when we are all connected, we have to be aware. So the good story is we don't have to be frightened when using the internet. I can show you where there are about 3 billion media clips on the internet that we are all allowed to take a copy of, and we are all allowed to use in our own work. So it doesn't matter if you are talking Japanese or Danish. It doesn't matter if you are taking an education or you want to earn money. I think there are something for everyone here. If you're young, if you're old, if you like art, if you like music, I will show you around, and I'm sure we could show you something that would also be interesting for you. And
yeah, of course, definitely. And how did you collect this this content?
Yeah, I worked as a teacher for some years, many years ago, and then I was actually just asking the the National Museum in Denmark, can you send me a photo of some special exhibit? And then she said, no, I cannot because it's copyrighted.
Okay.
So what I have been doing is not producing anything. Well, I have been producing something also, but my site, the website called Medier for All, is a place where I link and do some portraits where we can see places at the internet with content. So let me show you, for instance, because I think this one, we have talked a little bit about it, but this one is actually just one little, tiny, but beautiful thing. And it's from the National Museum. And this is actually, well, I'm saying this is the history on a silver plate. Because you can actually just visit the Danish National Museum and you can find 300,000 pictures of different kind of things. And you are allowed to download it. You are allowed to use it, and you could, if you like to have a poster of it, or if you would like to use it in an assessment in school or anything, you can do that. There's just a little story about this, and that is that if you download from here, you also need to be able to say, where did I have it from? The National Museum would like that there are some attribution.
So that's not a suggestion, that's mandatory?
Yes.
Okay, and how does that work?
It's very easy. It just works as this. If I take something, I write where I got it from. So,
but there's this specific...
Yeah, there are some small letters.
Yeah.
And these letters are a way of showing what are the rules for me to use this.
Okay.
So I'm not allowed to do anything if I have to comply with these rules.
Okay.
And in this case, it's very easy. It's the same license as you see on Wikipedia. And it says this one is free, and if you remix it and use it for anything, the same term should go for what you are doing with it.
Okay.
So it's called share alike license.
Share alike.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, SA, right?
SA is share alike. Yeah. And the BY says you have to say who is it. So attribute the National Museum in Denmark.
And the CC is the Creative Commons.
Yeah, exactly.
And now that we touched that subject, what is Creative Commons?
Yeah, Creative Commons. Actually, this time we will have to go on the other side, because then I will show you. Because Creative Commons is quite easy. It's something that some lawyers made 20 years ago.
Also, it's quite recent.
Yeah. And actually for 20 years ago, Wikipedia was also founded and started. So something started 20 years ago when people found out that this kind of connection called the internet would be quite nice to have,
Yeah.
and would be quite nice to have in a democratic way. So this is about democracy in a way, because this is a tool that anyone can use. When I take a picture like this one, this is my picture.
Okay.
So I would like everyone to use this picture, but I would like them just to remember to say my name. So I use a Creative Commons license saying CC BY, and that means that the only rule that applies to this image, if you like to use it, is to say CC BY Peter Lett.
Okay.
Something in near the picture or at the picture. It's not specific. So if I make a movie, I could have the attribution in the end.
Okay. Okay. And do you just write it there? Do you need to let like the Creative Commons entity know about it? Like, do you need to apply somehow?
No.
You just need
don't.
to write it down.
Yeah. It's just a way of saying this is a common language for communicating. How would I like you to be able to know all the rules that apply to my intention? So that's just a way of having the same language all over the world of what are the intentions when I share.
Okay,
So,
but it's not such a it is an easy language, but not so many people know about it. So how can people know more about it, know how to read it and how to use it?
Yeah. Actually, I think it's quite easy. Now we have talked about Creative Commons, so that might be a new word for some people. So if you were just Googling that, going to creativecommons.org if you are an English-speaking person, or going to creativecommons.dk if you are Danish-speaking, then you would have a homepage telling you more about Creative Commons. Is a tool that we can all use. It's just using some small letters, and the letters could also be made by an icon. So you can see that when I use the BY license, I could just use this little icon instead.
Okay, and what does that mean? The BY is just to say the name, just to name the author.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's not very strict. Then there is this saying what I am giving you if you remix it. If you make a new work out of it, the same rules must apply for your work. So that's the share alike license. That's what makes Wikipedia work. If I was to write an article and I said, oh, this part of the letters are mine, so you're not allowed to remix that. That would be locking Wikipedia in 5 minutes then. Yeah,
so and this one doesn't have that restriction. With this one, the only thing that you need to do is to name the author, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and this one is name the author and taking
and
into consideration the sharing.
So and this one I could also be using. That could be that I would like you to use my work, but you are not allowed to use it for commercial activities. So if you were a publisher, you were not allowed to sell a book with my picture in before we have had a talk about some other circumstances. Okay. So that's quite easy
to not make money out of your work and you not getting a compensation, which makes a lot of sense, obviously.
And and then there is this one saying, I don't want you to change my work. Let's say that like Greenpeace, when they see some kind of pollution, they take footage of it, and then perhaps some of the chapters of Creative Commons, they use this of Greenpeace. They use this license because they don't want the facts to be changed. The Danish government, they also use this license. So if you are seeing a meeting in the Danish government, you can download it, but you're not allowed to make a voiceover. Okay. For instance, if you thought it would be more appropriate if they changed their statements and you would like to make a voiceover, that is not allowed. Does it make sense to you?
Yes.
Great. So the last two is just because copyright is not forever. Copyright is when I die, then I have copyright 70 years after the year that I died.
Why 70?
Yeah, it's because that's what Disney and other parts have tried to extend, and for the time being, it's about 70 years. There are differences, but it's a good way of remember copyright, that it expires roughly after 70 years.
Okay. And after that, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
With,
So if you know a fairy tale of Hans Christian Andersen, it's public domain. It's said, because Hans Christian Andersen has been dead for 150 years. So if when he has been dead for 71 years, you can do whatever you want. So that could be nice to show it to people, and this could be a way to show it. There's a symbol also called PD, and that's a way of showing that, don't worry, the copyright has expired.
Okay.
Yes.
And another question about this more specifically. What happens if you don't comply?
Yeah,
It's like,
it's the same.
Who is taking care of this? Because internet is so big. How can you keep track of everyone and every single license?
Yeah, the internet is big, and there are many lawyers having a party, just showing what they can do when it comes to find people who steal.
Okay.
It's very, very easy to find people stealing on the internet.
Really?
Yeah, because perhaps we didn't intend to steal. We just thought, wow, I would like to be creative, and I didn't remember to attribute. Or So the case is that you have to be aware, because when it comes to infringe copyright, everyone can meet in a court, and everyone would be compensated. And it's the same if you take content under a Creative Commons license and you do something wrong with that. It's the same as infringing the copyright. So you have to be careful. But I think Creative Commons has made it somewhat easier, that you just need to say thank you. Who did I
and it makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why we could make this poster, for instance. It's full of parts made of, I haven't taken anything of this, not anything. It's all downloaded, but it's downloaded from a home page where it's okay to download without attribution.
Okay.
So that's a good way to start. If you're a beginner and you want to say, this was complicated, copyright sounds complicated, then I would suggest you start something very easy. Go to a site called Unsplash, or go to a site called Pixabay. There you can have these millions of lovely photos that you are all allowed to download. And these are from Unsplash, and then we just used a Photoshop software that's open, and then we made a poster. So that's just a way of showing. It could be fun to have an ear, it could be fun to have a brown and a blue eye, and so on. It's just, sometimes we play visually, sometimes we play with letters, sometimes we take an education. There could be many reasons why we need something.
Yeah. And do you know about the fines, like a little bit more, like specifically, what are the punishments for when things go wrong?
In Denmark, I think the regular fine is that would be in euro, like 500 euros or 3,500 Danish crowns.
So this is the general punishment, or is it more specific for certain things? The general.
Yeah, so if you were taking more iconic photos and infringing them, or if you were a publisher, if you were a newspaper, then you can see examples that the prices are much higher.
Okay.
So the Little Mermaid in Denmark, you're not allowed to take photos of her because she's an artwork, and the artist who made it has only been dead for 63 years.
You are not allowed to take pictures.
No. Please tell 3 million tourists every
year.
Yeah,
that's not gonna work out.
So
but the amount of money that they could make on that.
Yeah. So I know of a Danish newspaper, Berlingske. They paid around 40,000 euros because they were using a photo of the Little Mermaid.
Oh, okay.
And
I guess that's easier to track than random tourists.
But I think there are so many possibilities, so many ways that we could find something that is sure. When I start teaching pupils and teachers about what can we find that
Because
is
you also
open.
give some workshops about this, right?
So I started saying the only thing that I cannot find is nuclear facilities in Iran. I said that was the only thing I couldn't find under an open license. Now I can.
Oh.
So I think perhaps we are.
Are we talking about pictures?
Yeah. So we need to go to perhaps North Korea if we need to find something that I couldn't find under a CC license or something similar. So I think the whole world is actually open. The whole world is full of open content. And I hope that I can help people to find it. That's the mission.
That was it for this program, but stay tuned for the next one. In the meantime, don't forget to check our Facebook page, BURT, for updates on our schedules and programs. See you soon.